Welcome to an explanation of area of study for the HSC course and here for the preliminary course. We're going to have a look at what the syllabus says, so it's the Stage 6 English syllabus, says about the area of study. So this applies to both the preliminary and the HSC area of study. So the syllabus says, in the area of study, students explore and examine relationships between language and text, and the interrelationships among texts. They examine closely the individual qualities of text while considering the text's relationships to the wider context of the area of study. They synthesize ideas to clarify meaning and develop new meanings. They take into account whether aspects such as context, purpose, and register, text structures, stylistic features, grammatical features, and vocabulary are appropriate to the particular text. Now that sounds like a whole lot of stuff, and it is. And there's lots of they do this and they do that and you equals they. So there's a lot of stuff it's saying that you need to do and be able to do. But that's okay. Let's have a look at each part individually to figure out what it's saying. So the first part tells us we need to explore and examine. So when we're reading this, we should stop now. We've had two words that tell us what we need to do. We need to think about what those mean. Explore doesn't just mean to look at something. It means to look at every aspect of something, to exhaust all possibilities of something. If you were exploring a place, it would mean that you were looking all the way through it. You were looking at everything that you could. The word examine means to look at something in detail. So you're exploring, so you're looking at everything and you're doing it in detail. Examining is also more forensic than exploring is. It's more about figuring out how things work and why things work. So what we're doing those things, what we're exploring and examining, are the relationships between language and text. So how does language relate to text? How do a bunch of words and the way those words are put together create meaning in text? How do language and text relate to each other? Also, the interrelationships among texts. How does reading two texts give you a bigger understanding of both than if you just read one? How does it make more sense to read two things on one topic than it does to read one thing on that topic? How does reading a poem enhance your understanding of a novel you may have read? So it's about the relationships between the texts. Do they agree or disagree with each other, and how? You also need to examine closely. So this is that looking in detail the individual qualities of text. So all texts have things that make them special and unique. What are they? What does this text in particular do? What are its particular ideas? So you need to think about that, but you also need to consider how that relates to the area of study, because that's what you're looking at. You're looking at an area of study and how the texts relate to those. So you need to know their individual qualities and how you can look at that and then gather some meaning about the area that you're studying. You also need to be able to synthesize ideas to clarify meaning and develop new meanings. Synthesize means to integrate things together, take a number of things and bring them together to create one. We talk about it a lot when we're writing essays. When we're writing essays and we talk about synthesis, we're generally talking about, you don't talk about one text and then the next text. You talk about texts together. So it's about bringing things together to create a clearer meaning, to enhance your meaning. So here, to clarify meaning, and also to develop new meanings. So when you bring two ideas together, you might come up with a meaning that is new, that you couldn't get from just one of each of the texts. So clarify means the meaning's in one, and to make that clearer, you can talk about the other. Develop new meanings means it's not in one, it's not in the other, but put them together and bam, it's there. You also need to take into account all these aspects of text, its context, so the situation in which it was written, the purpose and the register, why is it written, what tone is it written in, the structure of the text, the stylistic features of the text, what kind of style is it in, the grammatical features, so have they used grammar in an unusual way, how does their use of grammar create a tone, and the vocabulary, their word choice, are those things appropriate to the particular text? This is also about your writing. Are you writing and using those things in a way that is appropriate to what you're trying to do? So to kind of get that into a bit of journeysy stuff, what you need to do in your responses and your compositions. That means you're writing both critical analysis of other people's text and writing your own text. You need to examine. We've already talked about that. Question, so think about, be critical of it, and reflect on. You need to think about stuff. You need to think and then rethink and then look back and then think again. It's all about the thinking. These are things you need to be examining, questioning, and reflecting on. First one is your observation and understanding. So what can you see? What are you looking at? What can you identify? And what do you understand of the events, people, ideas, and societies that are shown in the prescribed text, the text you pick yourself that are related to the area of study? You need to look at the assumptions underlying the representation of journeys. The way that a journey is represented has some underlying assumptions. It assumes certain knowledge. It assumes that you have certain beliefs, or that the reader has certain beliefs, or that it's trying to give you certain beliefs. There are assumptions underlying everything that we say. So what are the assumptions that are shown in the text that we study? The ways, plural, so the multiple ways in which you perceive the world. So how do you see the world? How do you see it through text? And how do you speculate about it? How do you think about the world based on text? How does a text make you think differently about how the world could be? The ways, again, that you consider and express your own journey experiences. How do you think about the journeys you've been on? How do you express that when you're trying to explain it to other people? These are the things that you're looking at. So now you need to be completing your whisk on this video, please. That means you're writing notes, you're summarizing, and you're writing 2 questions. Enjoy!